Hi everyone, welcome back to EthPrague. We're again here in the fantastic podcast room for another session. My name is Colin from Book of Ethereum, and in this session, I'm here with Leo. Welcome, Leo. For people that might not know who you are or don't know what you're building, maybe give yourself a little introduction.
Yes. I studied physics and chemistry in Paris. I did a career in computer science. After that, I did a master in distributed systems. Then I did a PhD in supercomputers in Japan, in Tokyo. I did 4 years there. And then after that, I did a postdoc on scientific computing and the detection of errors in scientific application running supercomputers. I did that postdoc in Chicago. I was there for 3 years. Then I worked for the Barcelona Supercomputing Center for 6 years. I was leading a group on research on scalability for supercomputers. And then in 2018, I reached the Ethereum Foundation to help them scale Ethereum. And since then, we have had, I don't know how many grants for Ethereum Foundation, and we have been working together for 8 years. But we also started collaborating with other institutions, different partners. And so, I'm part of the development of the core protocol of Ethereum. And I'm a researcher. I think that's pretty much what I am.
Amazing. Of course, scaling Ethereum is something that's super important for the whole ecosystem. It's what you've been working on for the last years. And so one of the things you've been working on or helping on working on is PeerDAS, of course. For people that have like no idea what PeerDAS is or what it does or why did you, develop it, can you explain to the audience what it is?
Yes. So you have to think about blockchain as a very inefficient database because that's exactly what it is. It's a very inefficient database in which every single data is recorded into every single node in the net, right? And with PeerDAS, what we wanted to do was, instead of recording and gathering all the data into every single node, the question was, can we break out this data and put just specific parts of the data in different nodes, but having a guarantee that the data is not going to be lost? Like, because if you can say, like, if I put just one data in one single node, if one of the nodes disappears, then you're going to lose that particular data, right? So you need some kind of replication and some kind of robustness to make sure that even when a portion of the nodes go offline, you will still be able to retrieve. And that makes blockchain much more scalable, but it's not easy to achieve. So the question is how to do scalability without breaking robustness.
Yeah, it's something that's really important to care about. It's something very important, but also like then how can you for people that don't understand the data availability on the chain because it is complex. I mean, the storage. For people that don't understand why is it so important?
Yeah. Okay. So why it is important? So you have two types of data in Ethereum. You have the data that goes to blocks and the data that goes to blobs. Data that goes to blocks is stored there forever. Forever, it's a big word, but we are not expecting to erase the data anytime soon. The data that goes to blobs is data that is going to disappear in 18 days because we decided 18. Because at the time that is required for layer 2s, for products, to actually demonstrate if something happened, do whatever is necessary to fix the situation. So basically, what we are doing right now is we are creating a storage space. We call it blobs, so that the layer 2s can put their data there. And it's very important to demonstrate that data is available because that data is the only data that can demonstrate that the layer 2 chains are actually safe and secure. So you need to demonstrate that that data is available and everybody can access it to the trust into those layer 2s. Otherwise, you cannot trust in those layer 2s If you cannot trust in those layer two, then yeah, you lose pretty much all the problems in Ethereum.
Okay. And so for let's say on the user side, what do like users experience from PeerDAS? Like, for example, you say like it has, of course, a massive impact on layer twos because they become more efficient in their working.
Yeah.
But what's like the impacts, or like you say, the positive impacts that we'll experience for users by introducing what you did with PeerDAS?
Pretty much not there. Right? That's actually one of the good aspects of this is that users don't need to know anything different. The only difference that they will probably feel is that gas fees will become lower, and that's better for them. And
I think that's also one of the only things that was really, been spoken about under like communities when people introduce PeerDAS. It's like, okay, I'm gonna pay less gas fees, and the whole storage of data is gonna be way more efficient for the future. And so my next question I would ask on top of it is like, what are like the future steps that you're now gonna take after that? You brought PeerDAS. Like, what's next?
yeah, so we still have a long way until we completely improve the data availability aspect of Ethereum. But we're in a good position right now. So we already implemented PeerDAS, and PeerDAS is doing well. But it could be better. Actually, tomorrow at the conference, I'm going to do a talk about the first 100 days of PeerDAS with Saka. And we are still not reaching capacity. We have much more capacity to put more data into the blocks, which means that at this moment, layer twos are not really using all the capacity that's available, which is a good state. But we expect that somehow in the near future we can reach the capacity, and then we can scale even further. We can increase the number of blocks so that we increase scalability. And then the next thing that we have to do in the coming years is post-quantum DAS. So right now, data availability sampling is using KCG commitments, which is a cryptography tool, if you get, that can be broken with quantum computers. And so that we know that that's not going to work after 2032 or whenever quantum computers become available at the scale that is needed. And so we need to start working on post-quantum cryptography right now.
So I see there was, I think, Ethereum Foundation introduced this team with also someone from the Ethereum Foundation. I think it was, forgot his name for a second, but they founded this research team that was, I think, was presenting Cambridge to start researching about like post-quantum. Yes. It's, I think, obviously super important. Even I think general users can get the idea of what could be the risks if we don't, try to develop further on that so we can be safe. And, because there's also a thing like what we should describe as, because we want to scale Ethereum, but we have to do it safely. Otherwise, the whole purpose of the design is going lost, basically, because that's maybe so, in more users' terms, like maybe the biggest USP of Ethereum is that it's designed to scale so much that safely and secure. So what would you say is like, maybe one of the hardest parts for developers or just in general about scaling Ethereum safely? Yes, that people also can give a better idea of why sometimes it takes quite a while before something can be released or development time.
Yes, yeah, this is not easy, and everything is a trade. There is no pre-launch. I mean, we can scale whatever we want. If we want to increase the number of transactions per second, this is one measured scalability, right? Yeah. We can increase that by having a single server where everything goes through, and then you multiply the number of servers, and then you get the scalability, and you can reach hundreds of thousands of transactions per second. We know how to. I come from the supercomputer world. I know how a supercomputer works, and we can do massive number of transactions, massive number of operations per second. But we would be centralized in everything, right? And the whole point of this technology is that it's supposed to be decentralized. Otherwise, we are not doing anything new.
No, exactly. Then you're just And this is also the thing that maybe some people don't understand, some protocols don't understand is like the challenge is not, to be the quickest, the cheapest blockchain. That's not, it's not a competition for Ethereum. It is to, it's actually, like kind of a mission. How far can we like scale without losing, the edge? Yeah, exactly. And for people, it's actually such a big term like decentralization. A lot of people, I think, don't really get what it actually is. A lot of people also say, "Oh, this is decentralization," but it's actually not decentralization. So what would be like a good way maybe for people to describe like how decentralized Ethereum actually is and why it's like so valuable? Like, why should people see the value in what you guys are doing?
Yeah. So I think one common misunderstanding is between decentralization and distributed. Uh, and those are two different things. For example, every time you buy something on Amazon, you your request to buy the product goes through a server that belongs to Amazon. Yes. But if you are based in Europe, that server probably is in Frankfurt or Paris. Who knows? But it's probably going to be in Europe. If you're in the US, then maybe that server is in, I don't know, Georgia or Virginia, whatever. Right? If you're in Asia, maybe that server is in Singapore. Right? So that's a distributed application. When you open your phone and you buy something on Amazon, uh, that act of buying goes through a server that is distributed across the globe, right? But is centralized in the way that if Amazon wants to shut it down, it's going to shut down all the servers at whenever it decides. Or if Amazon decides that, and I'm saying I'm using Amazon just as an example, it could be any company. If this company decides that uh, it didn't happen, that what you bought didn't actually happen, they can erase the transaction, and then that just didn't happen. Right? Yeah. And it's centralized in that there is one institution that has the power to do that. Right? Although all the servers are distributed across the globe, but there is one central institution that has the power to do it. In Ethereum, this is completely different. The idea is there is absolutely no one institution in the world, even as Vitalik or the Ethereum Foundation or the client developers, whatever. Nobody had the power to censor your transaction or to erase your transaction like that. And that is what is in transaction.
So you would actually, for people maybe to put into value, like it's basically the system where you can move with absolute freedom and trust that, whatever action that you do in the blockchain is there forever. Like you said, cannot be erased. Like it cannot be turned back, or whatever is happening is happening. And I think also like with Ethereum, on a level of transparency, it's I think we reached like far above anything else we've seen in the past. Like the level of transparency for people, and not only that, but in a way that it's still like set secure and private. I think that's the valuation. I've always said like I think we should people value Ethereum the wrong way. They value Ethereum some value it based on the asset performed, like the price of it. Some say Ethereum is valued based on, oh, yeah, but it should be cheaper, right? Or it should be quicker. But I think those are like wrong valuation models that people are, maybe getting or receiving, or because of that, they see it the wrong way. But I think it's like that Ethereum is this, is it should be valued as a public good, but like the revolution of public goods, right? Which can lead to an infinity in possibilities, and that's all like in a super secure, safe way. And I think that's why the work you are doing is super important to help, scale to the future for Ethereum. And then also another question that I would like to ask you is, as you know, you are really working on like the base layer of Ethereum, right? So like, how do you? And this may be a complex question, but how do you see the future shaping on like the layers above? Like, when do you see that there is going to be actual decentralized use case available for like, I would say like mass adoption, but let's say, uh, regulated adoption that's like, for people that are actually use cases, that are decentralized, and what are the opportunities for that?
That is a very good question, and actually, I thank you for asking this question because I work with MigaLabs. I mean, I am the founder of MigaLabs.
Yes.
We do research, we do data analytics, we do many things. But actually, one of the things that we also provide is blockchain infrastructure to many companies and projects. And one of the cool applications that we are working right now is like we have right now a client that is doing tracing of a supply chain on the blockchain.
Because
And they contact us for the blockchain infrastructure because they have expertise on IT, but they don't have expertise on blockchain. And so we are providing the blockchain expertise to them. And right now there is one product that is doing tracing of supply chain on the blockchain. And it has nothing to do with DeFi or any, speculation, or this is really using the blockchain as a database.
yes,
In a decentralized way, and is becoming real. So we, as MigaLabs, we are starting to provide these very different products to what we call Web 2 enterprises, or like no Web 3 native in companies. And I think the adoption is becoming real.
yeah, I think what you're seeing is like what we're seeing also with the institutional adoption that's like really accelerating right now, because I think because of the important work that you have been doing over the past years, the conclusion is that they say, okay, wait, Ethereum is actually safe enough. We can trust this. With some people publish some frameworks about the trust shifts to Ethereum, which I agree with. Like, it's from the TradFi like to Ethereum. It's like it's a logical trust shift for institutions. And I think they're laying the highways for like, the many customers that we wanna the many consumers that we wanna achieve, hopefully. And I think it's what you just described is a very important use case that is not something, that could be done without blockchain, right? It needs blockchain for its use case, right? It cannot work without blockchain. And that's what we have to, I think, search more for. Like, how can we make more use of everything that we're keeping scaling and scaling and scaling? That is actually, getting use cases, not only for, okay, you can say like for enterprises, for profit organizations, maybe for future governance models, there are so many different ways I think we can do this. And how would you like see how would you like want to see that we help scaling this idea? Like, what do you suggest? How should we like approach it to the world? Like, which method? Like, how should we approach the vision and the mission of this? Like, how should we bring it forward? Because I think today maybe some people are already trying to do something, but they bring it maybe too complex forward, or not really the right way, so people don't really get it.
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I don't think I'm the best person to answer that question. I'm a very technical person. I'm a researcher, and I'm not good at marketing.
But not necessarily marketing, but also just communication aspect. Like, as a developer, you truly understand what is being built. I mean, if you don't understand, nobody understands. So how, like, the frameworks for it. So maybe indeed, someone from marketing, for communication, from you understand, use it.
So the way I see it, and if I have to explain that to a 5 years old, is we are trying to build technology that is going to make the world a better place.
Yes.
And by a better place, we mean a world in which there are less abuse of authority.
Yes.
And that's decentralization.
That's the definition, basically, of decentralization.
So what we are trying to build is a technology that is helping us to control the abuse of power, and that it makes the world a more equal, fair.
So everyone, and also maybe for people that could be really valuable, like what you just said, is like for people that want to do startups, for example. I think that Ethereum and blockchain especially is like maybe the best place to move toward, because in Web2, it's a very, very hard competition, right? You have this classic hierarchy model where, you have big players and then it's really a lot centralized authority and it's very, very hard and you can be shut down and you can put a lot of hard work into something and it ends up nothing. And I think you have a more fair chance if you choose for blockchain Ethereum. So I would generally like not, we don't promote like it's a product, the promotion, like the way we approach it differently, but I think that's the kind of message we should get out more.
And I think it's a fair approach because I definitely think there are more opportunities in Web3 because it is such a big space and in not research wise, there's so much things to do and so much problems that don't have an answer right now that there is definitely a bigger space there for people to contribute.
But I think also that was the reason why Vitalik, even invented Ethereum or worked on an initial white paper because, I think he saw these problems already in like 2007, 2008, and this was his original thoughts, like
2015.
just like this was the original thoughts of we needs, well, like world computer where everyone can help building on where there's decentralization and everything. So I think that's you know maybe the conclusion of the original vision that we should try to keep more forward without losing it. So yeah, I think we covered some important parts, and for people that might be like for people that are listening, I might be interested in more of the work you're doing, what you're doing at BOOELIEVERS, and maybe just want to ask you some questions or want to be supported. Like, where can people find you?
Just visit our website, MigaLabs.io, and you will have all the data that you want there. We have plenty of dashboards. We have blogs, a blog where we post the different research that we do. We publish scientific articles, which is also you can find it on our website. And you can also join us in our Discord. You can also find it in our website. So basically, if you're interested on the work that we do, please visit MigaLabs.io.
Perfect. Yeah, then I thank you very much for coming by.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah, and then I say bye and the next one.
Bye bye.